And we would like to begin by acknowledging that the lands on which we live and gather are the appropriated homelands of Indigenous peoples. We want to express our deepest respect to those peoples, past and present, including the Hoh tribe, Jamestown S'Klallam tribe, Lower Elwha Klallam tribe, Makah Indian tribe, Quileute tribe, Quinault Indian Nation, Port Gamble S'Klallam tribe, and the Skokomish tribe for their care of these lands throughout the generations. Let us learn more about the histories, cultures, and traditions of Indigenous peoples, and let us strengthen relationships with sovereign tribal nations to provide an inclusive space, fostering innovation and collaboration at the library. So welcome to Find Your Voice Through Journaling. This presentation is part of our summer reading program, and this year's summer reading theme is Find Your Voice, which journaling can help us do. After today's workshop lights the journaling fire within, you can fan the flames by joining us for an in-person bullet journaling mixer if you'd like. This event is for novices and pros to explore bullet journaling and share ideas with one another. And this event is scheduled for Thursday, July 27th in Forks and Saturday, August 5th in Port Angeles. Details can be found at knowles.org/BujoMixer. But today we are very lucky to have Marni Amsellem here to guide us on getting started with the powerful practice of journaling. Marni is a lifelong journaler, a licensed psychologist, writer, and founder of Write, Reflect, Grow, which is a journaling community that is centered around empowering growth and change through reflection. So welcome to Marni. Thank you for being part of our Find Your Voice summer. I will stop sharing and turn things over to you.
Well, thank you so much. I am thrilled to be here, and I am going to start sharing my slides. Okay, everyone can see this okay? Thumbs up? Okay, very good. Well, welcome to all of you, and I have some very important thank yous. Thank you so much to the North Olympic Library System for inviting me, and thank you to Karina for all of the coordination in today. I would also like to thank all of you for making it the time to be here today. So just as a bit of introduction, I know there was a little bit already provided. I am a clinical psychologist. In my day job, I do a lot of therapy. So you might find that some of what I'm sharing with you today sounds like there is that background that I will be bringing with whatever I am sharing. This slide I am so pleased to share. This is my own picture. I was out there by where you guys all are in the summer of 2018, and I loved it. So this was a very memorable sunset, and I get to share it with all of you that get to see this regularly. Rialto Beach. All right, so you heard a little bit about me. I am curious what is bringing you here. You can either unmute yourself if you have the ability to do so and would like to, or you can share in the chat, though I at the moment I'm not able to see that from my screen. I would like to make today a bit interactive, but sharing is completely optional based on how comfortable you feel and what you have to share. All right, so some of you are muted. Can you unmute yourselves?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Hi, I'm Lois. I'd like to say I've been bullet journaling for a year and a half, but it's mostly like a to-do list. And I want to get more beyond that to some deeper meanings or whatever, or even some drawings. and or more like a diary.
Sure. No, that is absolutely something we will be doing today, is understanding how to take your practice wherever you would like it to go. And it sounds like you've had an introduction to journaling through bullet journaling, which is something that I would encourage you all, for anyone that sounds intriguing, or you're already doing it, to attend that live event that is happening at the library next week. That would be something, if I were local, I would be showing up for that. But yeah, today we will be kind of talking about the practice of reflective journaling as a whole, and then there will be some journal prompts that are on the theme of finding your voice. So thank you for sharing, Lois. Anyone else would like to share? And feel free to just start talking.
Hi, I'm Misty Davis. And I really hope to be able to, when I journal, I'm kind of scattered all over the place, and I don't know if it's really okay. What's okay to write down, because writing is so meaningful. And so I want to find kind of a vision for writing so that I can journal comfortably.
Great. We can talk about that goal today as well. Thank you for sharing, Misty. And it looked like there was someone else that was wanting to unmute. Maybe. Or debating about it. Okay, I will go ahead unless, oh, it looks like you're unmuting. Christopher?
There you go. Christopher.
Hello, I'm Christopher. Are we?
There's probably two, both of you have it on in the same room,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Oh no, it's also picking up yours.
Mhm.
Mine's muted.
Yeah, it's muted, but the sound is.
As long as one of them
Yep.
speakers is off on one, it should be
Okay.
fine.
Sorry. Hello, I'm Christopher Weeder, and I'm trying to do journaling to process my way of thinking, and trying to figure out more about myself, as well as how to communicate better with people that interact with me. And I was told that journaling helps processing in a visual, not just a visual form, but like processing those ways. And I am bad at what's important to write down and what's not important. And I feel like a lot of what I write is kind of nonsense.
Okay. Yeah, so it sounds like there is a similar theme there too. And absolutely, journaling is something that can help you process the things that are going on inside of you. Yeah, so thank you all for sharing. Anyone else want to say something? If not, I will keep going with slides. All right, I will keep going. All right, so yeah, why would we journal? And I think there are some things that you'll see in this slide that were just hit on. Okay, so journaling can be a tool for many things, including something that probably comes to mind when we think of journaling, of getting it all out, right? We're holding things inside of us. It's a way to let it go in a safe space of doing so. And by safe space, I will certainly qualify. If you are journaling and you are concerned about other people looking at the things that you're journaling, try to be mindful of that. If it's a digital file, for example, maybe keep it somewhere that's password protected, or just, maybe find a safe space that you feel comfortable keeping the things that you are journaling, if you do not want other people, taking a look at the things that you are writing about, right? Particularly if it is for this emotional release benefit. Journaling can also be a tool for planning, for organization, and helping clarify decisions and really just get clear on the things that are going on inside of you. I think bullet journaling is a form of journaling that certainly fits that category. It certainly helps you plan and organize and streamline your thinking in a way, right? And certainly, when you're making a tough decision, one of the things that can be a really useful strategy for people making a pros cons list, that is essentially a form of journaling as well. And it's helping you find some clarity and really identify those things that are showing up for you. Journaling, of course, is a tool for reflection, for building self-awareness and understanding of what is going on inside of you. And I think that is one that has also been, has already been hit on here. And it's a way to make important connections of the things that are feeling like a jumbled mess inside of you. Sometimes when you do start writing, you realize, okay, this is all making sense, right? And this is connected to that thing that I was journaling about a few weeks ago, right? Or a few years ago. Finally, I think that another really useful function of journaling is that it creates a record. It creates a record of you at this point, at the point at which you're journaling. It's something that you can go back to in the future and kind of see where you were at that point. Again, there can be the patterns in ourselves that we notice that when we look back and we say, oh, I'm struggling with this, I'm feeling really indecisive about this. And then you look back and you see that you were in that same space 5 years ago too. So on that point, I highly encourage people to date their entries. So whenever they are, whenever you are journaling, and this is again something that would be part of the function or part of the process, I guess, of bullet journaling. But when you are journaling on your own, whether it's in a blank journal or again, it's a digital file somewhere, that you date your entry. All right. This is, something that I wanted that does ring true to me about journaling, and I wanted to share is that when you take the time to journal, you are giving yourself a gift. You are giving yourself the time and space and permission to access the contents of your mind. All right. All right, so I've already heard a few questions today, and here are some questions that I typically hear that people commonly have when beginning or building their journaling practice. Okay, first question, how do I begin? Right? And my answers are going to seem like you might already have this knowledge inside of you. I'll give you that overview here. Okay, so what you need to begin is to clear the space, clear the time for yourself to do so, make a commitment, right? And by all of you showing up today to think about this and to learn about the practice, you are doing that. And this is something that you can continue on your own by saying, yeah, I carved out an hour in my day to think about this. I can carve out sometime this evening or tomorrow morning or whenever it is to continue this practice. The next question, how often should I journal and for how long? Okay, so it's an individual answer based on your logistics, right? So there is no universal answer. If you are someone that is kind of rushing between lots of life things, or getting the family out the door, you're going to work, etc., and really have very little time for yourself throughout the day, it may not be a universal, yes, carve out 30 minutes in the morning right? Because that might not be realistic for yourself to do this. It really is whatever works for you that is realistic for you. Again, if you're somebody that's kind of rushing and making sure that you leave the time to do so. But if you're finding that you're someone that this helps you kind of ground yourself in the day, then I would recommend carving out time, trying to carve out time if this is feasible for you to do so really before you begin and actively begin your day, like leave the house or whatever your activities are of the day. Similarly, at the end of the day, for those that are wanting to kind of process the events of the day or kind of recenter yourself after the day, perhaps at the end of the day as part of the winding down routine. Something that, again, it's something that should be sustainable for you. Again, knowing what your schedule is like, what your typical routine is like. And then this question of what do I write, right? And that is something we will talk a lot more about. Okay, so before I go to that slide, So what to write about, it's truly whatever you are needing, right? So if there is something, you're feeling things, but you don't really know what you're feeling, or you know what you're feeling, but it's really hard to put into words or to understand why you're feeling the way you're feeling, that is a great reason to write, particularly on that, emotional expression and self-awareness building function, of journaling. If you have a very pointed topic in mind, such as, again, I'm trying to get clear on what I want to do in this at this point, or I'm feeling anxious about this. How can I help myself prepare for whatever that situation is? That is a great thing to write about for you. So it's very much individualized. All of that said, there are a whole lot of really useful prompts that exist already, either in the form of printed journals that you can buy in a bookstore, that certainly online, that already come full of questions for you. There are also you don't have to spend any money for any of this, right? So I'm talking to people who utilize library services, who understand there's a whole lot of great materials that are available at little or no cost. And what I would encourage you to do is search online for prompts if you are needing some direction on what to write about. So in your blank notebook or journal that you have, or your Word file or whatever it is, that you can search on social media if you are into that, and you can search for journal prompts, or you could search on any of the places online where you go for tools, right, and for resources. And you can find a lot of materials there. They are going to be, the things that you find at those places will be a bit not, customized to you, right? They will be general. Some you'll find more helpful than others, but when something does speak to you, that is what you can use. Okay, so on this topic that we are focused on this summer across the country, mind you. So I am located on the East Coast, and my public library system is also doing some programming this summer on finding your voice. Okay, so this is where I'm putting on my psychologist hat for just a second here. But sometimes, we've talked about this a little bit already. We're just not sure what's going on inside of us, or we might have an idea of what's going on inside, but we haven't really expressed it, or we haven't really gotten it out in a constructive way or a healthy way. It is really important to know that we can always give ourselves permission to listen to what is really going on inside of us, to acknowledge it, and to speak our truth. And speaking our truth can be something that we're sharing with the world. It can also be something that we're just sharing with ourselves. So our journal can be a very, journaling, of course, being the vehicle that we can do this. And our journal can be a very personal thing that nobody on this planet ever sees, or this can, of course, be something where it is very public, thinking of blogs and how that, kind of how those evolved, really, right? They are essentially, there are general entries there that are then kind of maybe, kind of well edited perhaps, but shared with the world, right? Using your voice can make things feel like you are in control. Even if there are things that are going on that are not so ideal, but that you have, that accepting them is really going to be useful for you to do that. All right. Okay, so what I've prepared today are a few questions in our time together. I'm going to see how much time we have. Okay. I am going to give you guys all the opportunity to, to reflect on these questions. You're seeing this first question right here, so it's giving you a little chance to think about the answers. Does everyone have something that they can write on with them? Okay, great. And I didn't see, I'm kind of scrolling down. Everyone's okay with that. Great. Okay, so I'm going to give you about 5 minutes right now to reflect on this question, on this theme of finding your voice. Okay, so I provided a little bit of like my own thoughts on why finding your voice is important. And I think that this theme really speaks to so many different things. You can look at the programming at the library and how you can go so many different directions with finding your voice and what it might mean to you right now, and what it maybe, first meant to you when you saw this theme. And reflect on this question, right? And this kind of gets to that question of like, how do I kind of stay focused and kind of pull together some scattered thoughts? Here is a prompt that can guide you in, well, a main prompt plus some other questions that can help you shape your answers to, to this reflection. Because again, everyone's going to interpret this question slightly differently, right? So what does it mean to you to find your voice? What does it mean to you right now? And how might finding your voice have been different than what it may have meant for you in the past? And why does this feel important to you right now? So I will give you a few minutes right now to, to respond. Oops, on this one. How's everyone doing? Need a little more time? Or okay, I am going under the assumption we need a few more minutes here, right? I cannot see in the chat right now. All right, well, I'm going to use this time right now before we talk about this exercise. And all of you guys are muted except for me. Is there anything that's popped up in the chat that would be useful to address at this time?
Nothing there at this point.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so a question for you on the process of this. I gave you guys something to reflect on. And I know that some of the reasons that drew you here today for those that provided some goals was to help kind of pull together thoughts and help feel less scattered and have, I suppose, more direction, and also to process the experience. So without knowing any of that in advance, I'm wondering how this experience of reflecting to this question was for you. For anyone who would be interested in sharing. And again, the question is more about like your own reflections. However, certainly any of the responses that you had to this question that you would like to share, feel free to share as well. And you can go ahead. Speak. Go ahead.
I wrote down my answer. It's to keep a record of how I'm feeling at this moment, what is happening in my life, and how I feel about it.
Mm-hmm.
What do I want to do with the rest of my life? And then the follow-up to that question was, how do I release the excess stuff that exists in my life? And it just sounds, I got a lot of writing done, and then I also wrote, and this, the answer to this could be something different tomorrow.
100%. Evelyn, thank you for sharing. And
You're very welcome.
that what you got from that question, what you came up with, is different than everybody else here, right? And as you said, different than what would come to you if you did this on a different day. And yeah, I mean, and the questions that you came up with can take you in a lot of different places. So to sit down, what do I want to do with the rest of my life? Wow, right? That is one that you can absolutely sit down with, and maybe put yourself in a place you'd like to be, maybe, I don't know, beautiful scenery behind you. And that's how I'd answer that question. And yeah, and take that and go, right? Because sometimes what does show up from you from the process of journaling is a direction that is really useful for you to go. All right, anyone else interested in sharing how answering this question was for them? Okay, you can go ahead, Lois.
My first reaction was, oh, I don't want to go there. But then after I thought about it a little more, it was pretty easy to write something down. And I put, to find my voice means to know and express what I think and feel without caring what others think or what I'm supposed to think or feel. And that it's important to me to feel confident and satisfied with who I really am.
Absolutely. Yeah, that is, I mean, to be able to come there and recognize that it came from a place of, oh, I don't want to go there, to I can go there. And it sounds like it was empowering to do that. Yeah, thank you. Any other experiences? Christopher, do you have something to say? I can't tell if you're just talking to someone there or if you want to speak. Oh, it's still muted. I don't know if you're speaking. Oh, okay. Okay. All right, so I will go on to the next question. And since this is being recorded, these questions will be accessible to you at any point in the future. If you want to go back, if you want to copy them down somewhere, maybe, in your journal or in a different place to answer this question or answer these questions on a different day. Okay, the next question I have for you.
Can you hear us?
All right. So what has been on your mind that you have not given yourself the space to articulate to yourself, right? This can go in all sorts of directions, right? Is there anything lurking that you have not given voice to yourself or to the world? What are you needing to create for yourself? And what are you needing to take action on? And what is standing in your way? So any of these additional prompts that are speaking to you right now, you can take several minutes right now and respond to these questions. I see that there is something in the chat. I'll see what this says.
I'm still Are they able to hear us?
I think it was just me, Marnie,
Okay.
letting everyone know the chat was there. It had been disabled somehow, but now it's up and running.
There we go. I'm glad that it's here, and it's a very useful thing for webinars because it can be, it's hard to see if anyone's hands raised that isn't speaking out, and obviously this can be a more comfortable way to communicate too. So it's here, it's open, it's probably up on my screen. Oops, I'm going to move it can you guys see it on my screen? Okay, that's just me. The magic of Zoom, right? Whoops. I'll have to go back here. Okay, so continue your writing and reflection, and I will check in with you in a few minutes. How's everyone doing? Thumbs up if you're ready. Okay, that's not everyone, but we can go ahead and get started. Okay, thanks. All right, so yeah, how was answering this question? And certainly anyone who would like to share, go ahead. Evelyn, would you like to share?
Eye rolling harder.
Mm-hmm.
But I was getting going there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like how long did it take you to get there where you really kind of got into it?
Well, the first thing I wrote was take action, exclamation point. There are not enough hours in the week. And then I complained to myself about how many hours I spend playing on the little computer games.
Mm. Interesting. Yeah, no, that's a theme that I've already heard today on a different Zoom call that I was on. And yeah, it's amazing, right? Calling that out as something that you can take action on, right?
Oh yeah. And then my phone tells me every week how long I've spent on my phone on those apps. It doesn't tell me how long I've spent on my PC. And I'm not going to
Okay.
say.
Yeah. So this is a moment to bring awareness to what your phone is, bringing awareness to, but to say, okay, there's something I would like to do about this. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And because all of these things that we are wanting, that are on our minds and maybe we're not paying attention to, but are caught, they're there with us and we can kind of push it aside. We can ignore it. There are things we can do about it. And really the first step is bringing awareness to it and saying, okay, this is something that I'm not okay with and that I want to do, that I want to be different. Okay, well, what can I do that's different? And what are the things that are standing in my way? So lots of things there. And of course, that ends up being individual strategies about what you can do. But I have a feeling that what you just shared is something that probably everyone on the call can relate to. Yes, so much of our lives are on that thing, right? Okay. Anyone else like to share this experience of responding? And that's okay if not, too. But yeah, this one kind of, it did push a bit deeper. So yeah, but you stayed with it. And when there is something that is hard to access, allowing yourself to sit with it and challenge yourself and really kind of see what does show up. And then it may be very clear what was there. All right, so I'm going to move on to the next question, unless anyone has any other comments. Okay. All right, so this is the last question I have for you all to respond to. All right, so it does kind of tie in, it can tie in depending on how you've responded to the other previous questions. What would you say, and this is again kind of summing it all up, what would you say is your most authentic voice in this moment? And again, this moment is July 20th, right? Or summer of 2023, or whatever this moment means for you right now. What is this voice saying to you? Where is the voice coming from? And what is the meaning that you see in this right now? And again, I will give you several minutes and then come back. It looks like there are still some that are writing. That is the case. All right, well, I am going to circle back to everybody right now. And I understand, just like with any of the other ones, you may not have said everything you need to say. And I invite you to continue writing after this discussion, which will end in just a few minutes, to give yourself all of the time that you need. And perhaps right now, this was a good opportunity to see how long you might need to properly give yourself enough time. And truly, I think the right answer is, as long as you don't have a firm hard stop in a very short time right before. If you sit down and you have somewhere to be 5 minutes later, that might not be giving yourself the sufficient time. However, you have somewhere to be 2 hours later, just sit down, see what you do. You might write for 5 minutes, you might write for an hour, right? Yeah, but you can always come back to something. And again, any of these questions you could answer on a different day, and it may look really similar, it may not. So I hope you are all dating everything today. All right, so this question, anyone would like to share, would anyone like to share any of the experiences they had in responding to this question?
It looks like Christopher had a question in the chat.
Oh,
What does
okay.
voice mean?
Yeah, feel free to read that to me, because for whatever, oops, sorry. Go back. The chat is no longer something I'm looking at.
He was just asking, what does voice mean? So what does that mean?
Sure. Yeah. So that is something that, like, I think that the answer to that question is very much individual. And that is the beauty of this, I think the summer reading program as a whole, because it can mean different things to us in a whole lot of senses. So like the literal voice of you saying something, it can mean you articulating, you speaking your mind, you kind of getting clear with yourself. It can mean the individuality of all of us, and certainly our life experiences and different cultural backgrounds, and any of the persecutions we may have felt in life. So it can really speak to our uniqueness, and there is not one definition that we are using here. So did that answer your question? It did? Okay, thanks. Anyone have anything else to share on this topic? All right. I think that is a no, right? Wow. So Evelyn, what is on that? Because I couldn't see anything on that.
Sorry, it stayed blank for quite a while before I
Okay.
started writing. This one was a lot harder than 1 and 2.
Okay, so getting progressively harder. Yeah, so this might mean that this is something that you come back to. Yeah. And, to kind of pulling together some of the themes and ideas that have been articulated during, during this call, that authentic voice inside of us telling us what we need to do. It could be that authentic voice, kind of allowing us to feel the freedom to say what we need to say to ourselves or the world, to be ourselves. It can really, it can stay on one of those themes, and it can be, something that you're realizing you do need to act on, make a decision on, express to either to yourself or to others. Yeah. And I think prompts that are open-ended, those are the ones to look for, right? However, they kind of appropriately open-ended, really kind of directing you somewhere. If you're finding a prompt like, how is your day today? That absolutely can take you somewhere. But if it's the same prompt every day, you might want a little bit more direction there. And guess what? If you see a journal that has that same prompt on every page, and there are journals like that, you can make some adjustments to the prompt. Of course, you could not use that prompt, right? But you could add something in that makes it unique. Like, what makes today a unique day for me? Right. So just modify that question a little bit for yourself. Any general questions that anyone has based on what we've talked about today, or perhaps anything else that you would like to know about while we're still here? And again, I don't have the chat, so if there is something there, I had it and then it went away. Okay.
I have a question. It might be a little
Sure.
silly, but maybe, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't ask it. I don't know, but
No, there's no questions here. That this is why we're here, right?
okay. So is there a difference between journaling and diary?
No, not at all. So like a diary is absolutely a form of journaling, as are things like bullet journaling, to-do lists, like a food diary, right? If you're needing to keep track of the things that you're eating, or a sleep diary, if you're keeping track of when you get into bed, how long you sleep, etc. Those are all forms, they're forms of journaling, right? We're primarily in this exercise is focused more on the expressive and reflective type of journaling in response to a prompt. But there are a lot of varieties of this practice. So keeping a diary absolutely is. And in your diary, you typically don't have a prompt, right? It's the Dear Diary model. Like what it's sort of like unloading. So thanks for asking that question.
I would
Okay.
love to share a comment on this last writing prompt, if I
Sure.
may.
Of course.
I found the question you posed to be very helpful. What would you say is your most authentic voice in this moment? I took that in the sense of all the voices that are kind of going through my mind on a daily basis on a multitude of topics. And this question just really helped me zero in to decide which one of those voices is the one I should be paying the most attention to. So I found that very, very powerful. Just that
Great. And it
asking
sounds
that
like
question.
useful.
Yes.
Yeah, I hope that voice guides you in the direction you'd like to go.
Yes, I've decided the one that is the most authentic that I should be listening to is the one that keeps telling me to be still and be present and breathe, because daily life tends to work against that.
Absolutely.
So thank you for helping me zero in on that.
Excellent. Well, you're very welcome. So I am going to leave you all with a final slide, which just talks about where to find me, stay connected if you would like. I do have a, the journaling can find, I know we were talking about social media. I don't live there, right? Because we don't need to live there. We can live in real life, but I do have a page, Write, Reflect, Grow. And I'm also on Twitter, Facebook, really not there a whole lot, but I am there. And then these are some journals that I have written. The Self-Reflections Journal is one that is a journal that has prompts. And it is available on the lulu.com bookstore. And if you go to writereflectgrow.com, it has links to all of those things. Big idea journal, different type of journaling altogether. That is something to guide you in helping to pull together your ideas to make whatever that vision is that you have a reality. Get clear on that and to come up with a plan. So that's what that is. Any other questions before we go today? All right, well, it was a pleasure speaking with everybody today, and I hope that there are things that you are going to be taking with you from this, from your own reflections, and also from any of the conversations and any of the material presented to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Marni.
You are very welcome.
For anyone who wants to stick around, I will have a slide I can share if you want to dig in even deeper into the journaling. We have some resources for you.
Excellent.
I'll leave these up. If I can wake up the slides, have a few online resources, a few resources from the Knowles collection. The online resources, of course, Marni shared this also, the website for Marni's journaling community, writereflectgrow.com. Another article from Healthline that talks about the benefits of journaling and offers tips for getting started and making it a habit. And then thinking of journaling prompts, I found a blog post that offers 64 journaling prompts. So maybe a handful in there will speak to you and guide you on your next journal entry. And then in the Knowles collection, we have a few books: Creative Journal Writing, The Art and Heart of Reflection, Heart, Sass, and Soul, and Journaling for Dummies. Can't go wrong with a For Dummies book.
I love this slide. Thank you for pulling this all together. And yeah, I love that there are librarians. That is something I will leave this Zoom call with.
We're all about information. We don't know everything, but we know ways to help you find it. So just ask. So once again, thank you, Marni, for the excellent journaling guidance and inspiration. Thank you for joining us here today.
It was my pleasure. Thank you all.
And thanks to all of you for joining us today and sitting tight while things got worked out there in the beginning. And thank you to our friends of the library groups across the county who provided support for this program. So with that, we will wrap things up. So take care, everyone. And we will see you all next time.